of oppressive building radiation and imminent, unstoppable force. Jara. Good day, or perhaps I should say good shelter. And welcome back to Cosmic Radio. I'm Jara 19, currently bracing my instruments against the inescapable wash of solar flux, seeking out the moment when the sun turns from life-giver to executioner. Tonight we detail the swift, unforgiving terror of being caught in the open during a coronal mass ejection. All a Tsunami. The incident began with the smallest of warnings. An unprecedented spike in the Icarus V's magnetic field sensors indicating the leading edge of the storm. The sun had erupted and the shield protocols had mere minutes to compensate. We revere the sun, we orbit it, depend on it, and draw energy from its light. But our star is not a stable beacon. It is a nuclear engine prone to spectacular, violent hiccups. A coronal mass ejection is one such hiccup. An explosion of magnetic fields and plasma from the sun's atmosphere, launching a billion-ton wave of charged particles into space at millions of kilometers per hour. This is the catastrophic scenario that befell the crew of the orbital research platform Icarus V, a small, heavily shielded Earth-synchronous laboratory dedicated to studying stellar dynamics. They were prepared for solar flares, brief bursts of X-rays and UV light. They were not prepared for the full frontal impact of a Carrington-level CME. A solar tsunami. The incident began with the smallest of warnings. An unprecedented spike in the Icarus V's magnetic field sensors indicating the leading edge of the storm. The sun had erupted and the shield protocols had mere minutes to compensate. The CME hit like a physical shockwave. The first effect was on the magnetic field, the platform's main reactor. Designed to run on magnetic confinement, suffered an immediate cascade failure as the incoming solar plasma overwhelmed its internal field generators. Lights went out, life support sputtered, and the main radio communications, our very connection to them, fried instantly. But the most immediate, terrifying threat was the radiation. The Icarus V was designed to withstand the normal solar wind, but the CME was 100 times denser and faster. Its velocity and density drove highly ionized protons and heavy ions directly through the hull. Chief Scientist Dr. Silas Vance and his two crewmates immediately scrambled to the storm cell, a small central chamber clad in dense layers of water and polyethylene. The only place on the station shielded enough to offer protection against the incoming bombardment. Inside the storm cell, they were safe from the worst of the direct, penetrating radiation. But they were trapped in a metal box, floating in a sea of lethal energy. For the next hour, they endured a terrifying siege. Outside the cell, every piece of unshielded electronics, every camera, every primary sensor went dark, cooked by the sheer energy of the particle stream. The hull temperature skyrocketed worse. The very metal of the station began to absorb the particle energy, turning the Icarus V into a weak secondary radiator. Dr. Vance's final truncated log was recorded using a manually shielded emergency recorder. Inside the storm cell, he described the horror not of impact but of duration. He spoke of the plasma outside, visible through a tiny emergency viewport that looked less like light and more like a flowing, angry liquid fire, a silent physical ocean of lethal particles slam against the hull. He detailed seeing a subtle, beautiful, but utterly damning sight. The constant blue-white Cherenkov radiation emanating from the shielding itself, the light generated by ultra-fast particles passing through the dense water tanks. It was the visual proof that the CME had completely penetrated the primary hull and was actively battering their final layer of defense. The silence of the void outside was replaced by the constant energy. The rescue mission found the Icarus 5 weeks later. It was adrift, systems dead, its hull pitted and scarred by the high-energy particles. The storm cell was intact. Inside, the 3 crew members were deceased. They hadn't succumbed to the radiation while the cell held. They had run out of oxygen. Their perfectly shielded refuge had simply become their tomb, sealed against an exterior so fundamentally hostile they could not re-emerge into it. Electromagnetic static returning. But now it is clean, powerful, and sustained, indicating a full, uninhibited flood of energy. The grinding metal sound fades out completely into this pure, overwhelming static. And that, listeners, is the humbling power of the solar tsunami. A stark reminder that in the face of our nearest star, technology and distance are mere suggestions, and some cosmic events are too vast, too powerful to be outrun. If this descent into solar hostility resonated with your deepest fears, then make your presence known across the cosmic currents. Find those red YouTube ovals on your display. Wherever you are, hitting like sends a clear signal to the algorithms that you crave more forbidden frequencies from the deep void, and, most crucially, subscribe to Cosmic Radio and activate that notification bell so you're always tuned into the next transmission from the absolute edge of existence. Until the next mind-bending anomaly, respect the power of the sphere of fire. Check your shielding in whatever you do. Never forget that your sun can kill you with a single spectacular call.